Welcome to XenoChat, a Xeno-themed podcast dedicated to Xenogears, Xenosaga, and Xenoblade. I am Tyler, the host, along with my co-host, Justin.
How's it going, everybody?
And today we have two special guests. The first is Kristi.
Hi.
And the second, I'm sorry. And our second guest is David.
Hey guys.
And we are here today to discuss a very important character to the Xenosaga series, and somewhat of a divisive character among kind of the Xeno fandom, and that is Shion Uzuki.
Who's that again?
Shion Uzuki.
I forgot who she is.
Oh, don't even.
Don't you mean? Isn't she like that Luca ripoff or something like that?
Don't even, Justin. Don't even. Get out.
I will throw down. You do not want to fuck with me. Sorry.
This is exactly what I want to do tonight. I want to see how angry everybody can get.
Don't. Please don't. This is a peaceful podcast.
I'll walk out if that's what this becomes.
Please.
Yeah.
No, I would walk out too, so it'd just be you, Justin.
Just in that, 2 hours of me talking. Hey, everybody, this is the Justin show. Let's talk about Xenoblade. Blah, blah, blah.
So there is someone here that doesn't like her. That's it, right?
No, I like her.
Oh, okay.
He's just
like her, or we're not.
He's just trolling.
Okay.
Exactly.
But I guess before we get into this, I guess how the show's been structured so far. First, we'll talk about some Xeno news, if there is any news out there, and after that, I'd like you, Kristi, and David to kind of go into your, if you want to go into your history of the Xeno series, and then after that, we'll get into the topic. Sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. So, in terms of news, there's not really too much. I mean, Torna did just come out, and I think when we recorded the last episode, it was before Torna had come out. So there's that. Torna turned out pretty good.
I believe in an interview it was stated that was the last content that was planned for Xenoblade 2.
Yes, and I though I loved all the content they made for Xenoblade 2, I'm kind of happy that this is it. I just want them to kind of move on, because I don't want it to be like Final Fantasy. Oh, sorry.
I'm ready for Monolith's new project, really. Whatever they're going to work on next.
Right.
I know there was an interview that I saw today talking about, was it today? I don't know, time blends together. Takahashi mentioned that he might want to go into a third different direction with whatever happens next with the Xeno series, and I don't know how to. Oh, it was yesterday. Whatever. I don't know how to feel about that per se, because I'm like, well, I hope that means like back to. All right, I won't. All right, I'm about to get opinionated there. I'll just put that piece of information forward and not comment on it.
It's fine.
Say what you gotta say.
Okay, all right.
This is the time to be opinionated. Get your hot takes out there.
I mean, on one hand, like, they were like, are you gonna go back to doing, like, sci-fi, like, Xenocross? And I'm like, okay, well, let's go further back for more sci-fi. But, I was like, and he's like, no, maybe I'll do a third option. And I was like, okay, alright, I don't know what that means per se, but we'll see. Let's just hope, I don't know. I just don't want it to be Xenoblade. I'm not... unless it's like I always call like Xenoblade X Xenocross, because I like think of it it's so different and so removed from the other Xenoblades. I don't want Xenoblade, I don't want Xenoblade 2, I don't want any of this mass marketed shit. I want to go back to the good Saga stuff. But if I have to have something, I don't know. I'm just I'm rambling at this point, but I thought it was a little interesting that he said that.
Oh, no, yeah, it was interesting, because I'm, like you, I don't, cause, like, either he could go back to Cross, or just kind of go with what Xenoblade has become, but a third option, I'm like, that's cool, but what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, it's just a really, really vague thing to say, so I'm like, I want to believe, but I'm not sure I do.
But yeah,
That's about all the news I can think of.
but yeah, along with that article that what he had that quote in, it was basically about how Xenoblade 2 sales have been really well, especially outside of Japan. Like Takahashi was surprised by the North American and European sales, so that was really good news, because I think Xenoblade 2 is like the highest selling Xeno game.
It's the best selling Xeno
Tragically.
game. Yep.
Yeah.
But still.
Don't worry, I'm right there with
establishing
you. The
myself
salt's
as
real.
A wild
I'm
card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if Xenosaga had these sales, it definitely would have still been here with us. But I'm happy for Mom. Yeah, I think
I'm happy for Soraya Saga.
Yeah.
I love her.
I love her, and I love her blade for Xenoblade 2. It looks so JoJo, but that's kind of her style. But
that's so valid. She just went out there and did it, and I respect her for that.
Yes.
That blade's so weird too, like in the game, because he's a baker. You find out later on.
Oh, yeah,
he's like a mermaid baker. It's so weird.
His side quest is. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Okay. But I think that's it as far as news goes, unless anybody else can think of any recent. I still don't have my Fei Fongguang figure. That's my news. I want.
Really?
I still don't have. Yeah, I ordered. No, it's okay.
That makes no sense.
I ordered from the Square Enix website, and now if you look on their website, it now says October 2018 instead of September, and I went there for the cheaper shipping price, and I guess I shouldn't have done that, but oh well. Oh well.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's
I ordered from Ami Ami and I have it.
I'll get my precious boy one of these days.
I'm lucky that I'm neutral enough on Faye and Ellie that I didn't really want the figures. I'm like, if they made like a Billy, I might throw down for that.
That would be nice.
I love me Faye. Billy, but I was like, you know. But I like them well enough, but not enough to spend money on figures in my current financial situation. I gotta save for 2B dolls.
That's also valid. So
thank you.
Yeah, there's that new one coming out real soon. There's that new 2B doll coming out real soon.
That's what I'm talking about, the Dolphy. Yeah, she's pre-orders are going up October 20th, so I'm gonna be there like hovering over my laptop. And she's cheaper than my Cosmos though, so
I'm so jealous of your Dolphy Cosmos, I swear. I'm sorry. It's
fine. I love her a lot. I don't mean to like flaunt her. I just love her
much. Flaunt her.
Everybody look at her. I spent a lot of money on her, but it was really worth it.
Someday I'll get the courage to buy her.
Do it. It's worth it.
I totally will. Okay. All right. So let's continue on. So now, if you guys wouldn't mind, maybe start with Kristi. Like, what is your history with the Xeno series?
Okay, yeah. Well, way back when I was born. Not that far back. Let's see. I played Xenosaga. Xenosaga was my first. It sounds like this is like losing my virginity. I'm sorry. I'm a crude person. I played it when I must have been around 16 when I started it. Maybe 17. I can't remember right now. I'm 22 now for reference. But, so I didn't play it as it came out, which I'm honestly thankful for, because I think of I think a lot of people around my age who, like, know of it are like, oh yeah, I played it, like, when it was coming out, when I was, like, in middle school, and it scared me shitless, and I never wanted to touch it again. And I'm like, okay, glad I waited. Because I knew about it when I was younger, and, like, wanted to play it, and Cosmos was, like, my gay awakening, but, like, I was, like, a baby and, like, a coward. So, but I'm glad I waited, and it was definitely fell, like, head over heels really hard, and like probably for like the next year or so, it was like right at the end of high school for me, so I would say like 17 when I was like 16, 17 when I was playing it for the first time, and it made such a huge impact, especially when I was like, you know, it's big to, you know, finish high school, I think. I mean, it sounds so trivial to me now, but like I think back, it's like, you know, finishing high school is like a really kind of scary time, I think, for most people, and it was something that was really grounding for me during that time, and continued onward into college, and today, you know, I fell head over heels for it. It just brought me so much joy and hope, and I just loved everything about it, and the characters, the story, you know, I loved all the convoluted shit too, you know, all the, like, I loved the world guide stuff and looking up all the, like, imaginary number domain things. Even that was really engaging to me. It was just such an amazing world with these amazing characters that I love so much. And I'll probably talk more about this later. Shion in particular meant a lot to me. And I had a lot of bad stuff happen to me in high school, and out of high school, like, things continued to be very bad for me, but that was, like, always, like, my grounding point. And after I played Saga, my sister and I played Gears together. I have a love-hate relationship with Gears, but I genuinely love it as much as I genuinely hate it. But it still treasured. I still treasure it a lot. And yeah, I'm not really a Blade person. I played the original Xenoblade. I thought it was okay at best. I thought it was decent. I like but I was very happy with Xenocross. That was I kind of think a return to form. Not, like, totally, but right direction. I guess the best thing I could probably sum this all up as is I have a Xenosaga tattoo on my left arm. It's, the future is overflowing with hope, and we have infinite paths to choose from the end of episode 3.
Shion quote.
Yeah.
Good one.
And it's in my own handwriting, too. Got that when I was 18, I think. 18 or 19. It was my first tattoo. It was something that I had wanted for, it must have been 19. I had wanted it for like a good year and a half, and like finally getting to do that was huge. I have the Cosmos Dolphy, so you know, the amount of money I'm willing to shell out is embarrassing. But I don't know, it's true to my heart, I guess, at the end of the day. It's something that's been very, very formative for me, and means a lot. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and actually, I'm getting my first Xenosaga tattoo next weekend, so I'm kind of excited for that too.
Oh, so it's actually happening now. Nice.
Yes,
oh my God.
Yes. So whenever probably by the time this episode's posted, I'll probably have it. But I'm both nervous and kind of excited at the same time.
What are you getting?
Yeah.
I'm getting the Zohar on my right arm.
Oh, nice. That's
So-
awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Oh my God.
I'm hoping that
Oh,
maybe.
that's so great.
Yeah, I kind of want to maybe get some text below it, like "Ye shall be as gods," but I don't know how that'll turn out. But I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really one. I think the best thing is that right after I got my tattoo, and honestly, every time I look at it, still, it's the feeling I feel is like I feel like at one with the Xeno. I don't know.
You're
It
one
feels
with the
like
Xeno.
I've entered the collective unconsciousness. You know, it's like it's a really fulfilling feeling. It feels like, I don't know, it just feels like something just like fell into place, like a puzzle piece of your soul has like slipped back into place, and that's sort of, I don't know, there's this just really like weird sense of like fulfillment and like unity and almost like peace I felt and still feel with mine. I don't know if that's just me because I'm like a really wildly emotional person like that, but yeah, no, it's a good feeling, and I think you're gonna be really happy. And Is this your first tattoo in general?
Yes.
Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, my first
doesn't-
tattoo.
It's different for everyone, but arm tattoos generally don't hurt too much either. So.
Okay. Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot, so I'm kind of calming down a bit. Since my.
I mean, have you seen my giant Persona one on my thigh? If I could go through like 6 sessions of that, you can do it. You can do one one arm little arm thing.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It's not that bad. It'll be worth it.
Good. All right. David, would you like to go into your history with Xeno?
Oh yeah, guy. Sorry, I've been so quiet. I'm just
No, it's okay.
Kind of worried about my phone, kind of like doing that like weird, like it's like a delay thing. I think.
Oh.
Maybe slightly, but this should be okay.
I think it's fine.
So I guess I had kind of a similar experience.
Oh.
High school, relatively, like, I didn't play it when it first came out, Xenosaga, but, there was just something about it that got to me when I played it. I don't know, the end or something, or the characters, I don't know what it was, but, there was no way that, I didn't even know about Gears when I played it. I was just playing games for the PS2 because I had a PS2 and I was into collecting games for it, and I had Xenosaga 2, I think. Ironically, my first exposure ever to Xeno.
Hey,
yeah.
whatever works.
Yeah,
but like I remember booting it up for the first time and hearing the image theme for Xenosaga on the main menu, and I was just like, oh man, I need to get into this. I don't know what this is, but yeah. So I went and tracked down the first game, and I tracked down the third game, and I ended up playing through the whole series, and man, I was just completely blown away by it. And there's no way that I played Gears, because Gears came out when I was like 4. So.
Oh my gosh.
I'm 24 today, but there's there's just like this gap, I guess, in it. But I played Xenosaga and I was completely blown away, and then I went into Blade. I didn't know anything about Blade going into it. I just knew that the people that made Xenosaga made it, and I was totally disappointed by it.
Right? Oh no, my god! Thank you. I feel you, because Takahashi doesn't make things like for himself anymore. He just makes really generic, mass marketed things, and I'm like, no.
Well, because when I played Saga, I dived I went off the deep end for this freaking series. I don't know what it was. I started reading books. I started going online and on forums and stuff like that. This was I don't know.
It was
it was an experience for me.
It was an immersive experience.
I went and I started getting into some of the influences of the game. I've read Childhood's End, and I've read some of the Hainish Cycle books, and I've read some of just science fiction stuff. I just got really involved. And and that's the thing about Saga and Gears, at least for me as a person, is that the stories of those games, the more you spend time with them, the better it is. You can just draw so much from the games, and I don't know, it was just an experience for me, I guess, playing through Saga. And then I played Gears. I played it not even that long ago. I played it a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago. And then I played it again recently with my friend, because he watched me play through the whole thing. And I've been playing Torna now, but that was basically my introduction to the Xeno series. It's kind of similar. I was just in school, and I was just kind of... But it is kind of funny. I like to point out that Xenosaga 2 was my entry point. I just want to thank Yuki Kajira's music for that.
Oh, yeah.
Really. That's funny that you say that, because actually the reason I got into Xenosaga in the first place was I really like Yuki Kajira's music, and my sister was like, oh yeah, she did the music for the second and third game of the series. Do you want to check it out? And I was like, sure. So it was all because of her that it was like really came back, because I heard of it when I was younger, but I never had played it, and I like forgotten about it entirely. But then like hearing about that Yuki Kojira did the music for the second and third game, I came back to it because of that. So God bless her.
God bless. Thank you, Yuki.
Still one of the greatest soundtracks. Gosh.
But like, yeah, just like you, it was just such a like formative experience for me. I just, I just started, I just got really involved with it. I guess it's like it's really fun to research and talk about, and like I was actually really surprised, after I played it and after I went looking for online, that most people didn't really like the series because I liked it so much.
It hurts. It hurts.
It does hurt whenever you try to bond with someone over video games and then you say Xenosaga and they're like, oh, that series.
It was just, it's like, that has been, I cosplay from it, right? And, so many people will be like, have been like, oh, your Xenosaga cosplay, I guess that's okay, but like Xenogears or Xenoblade or whatever is so much better. And I was like, alright, okay, keep moving. You do not want to throw down with me on this.
It's like, oh, thanks, I think, maybe. Oh.
Yeah, it's like a backhanded compliment at that point. You're like,
Or what's even worse is, especially today with like Xenoblade, is that because of Smash Bros. And memes, like, alright, so I had a friend, he made me a Monado.
Oh.
And it was like a foam sword, like what you would use in, LARPing. He made me one, and he gave it to me at a convention, since that was like the next time I would see him. So I was walking around a convention. I was actually dressed up as Gintoki from Gintama, if anybody watches that. But I thought it would be kind of funny if like Gintoki was holding the Monado. So I had the Monado, and I'm walking around the convention, and man, the amount of people that came out to me were just like, I'm really feeling it. That's so right. Or like people even came up to me, they're like, oh, did you play Xenoblade? Yes! You're like an idiot. Like, come on.
It's really funny to me, too, because, like, the Xenoblade people who were, like, really into Xenoblade used to be like, oh, I hate the, like, Xenogears, Xenosaga fans. They're so gatekeepy. And then they, like, just turned around and did it, like, way worse to, like, new Xenoblade fans. And I was like,
stupid. I hate people like that.
It's weird, because it's, like, how with, like, Xenogears and Xenosaga fans were kind of, like, at first were kind of rough with each other, and now it's gone on to the Xenoblade fans and being rough with each other. It's like it's a eternal recurrence.
Eternal recurrence.
I like most of the series. I mean, like they all have their flaws in my book. I know I praise Blade a lot, but I can recognize there's a lot of problems with Blades. There's a lot of problems with Gears. There's a lot of problems with Saga, but I can kind of appreciate them all for what they did do right. And I'm not going to be like, oh, you don't like Xenoblade? Ugh. Oh, you like Saga too? Get out of here.
It's like, for me, like, even for the ones I don't like, I just kind of just stay in my lane. It's like, I'm not going to go around and be like, fuck you for liking Xenoblade. It's a... I'm like, I'm going to tell you my opinion on it if somebody asks, and I'm probably going to put my opinion out there, but I'm not, like, personally faulting anybody for liking it. I mean, especially because it is a mass marketable game. It's not like Gears and Saga, which is very like niche sort of stuff. It's a appeal to mass audiences sort of series. So it's like, I get that there's more people who like it. It hurts a little for me, but I'm not gonna go out there and say that you're like a piece of shit for liking it and not liking the old ones. It's just like, just stay in your lane, guys. Get a private account on Twitter. Those are great.
I just think it's strange that that these games that were made by, the same creators and stuff, like, they all hate each other. All the fans hate each other.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's scary.
I don't even get it.
But, I mean, I wish I was surprised, but, like, I always say, all fandoms are like this.
Yeah. And honestly, this isn't even the worst of it.
Honestly, there's so much worse.
There's far worse out there.
Yeah. And it's because this isn't even the worst because it's smaller, and it's just the bigger fandom gets, the more it's gonna, the more people are gonna butt heads. That's why every time there's a new, Xeno game, then you just have more people entering the fandom, more people to butt heads,
Yeah.
It's just how it goes. And sadly.
And then when they change things up, then people get pushed away. Like, that was the big reason why a lot of people hate Xenoblade Cross. Personally, I loved it a lot.
I loved it. Yeah,
I thought there was some really good stuff.
This is technically more of a return to proper Xeno feeling and atmosphere. It felt more Xeno than Xenoblade. So, but then people were like, "This is different than Xenoblade Chronicles," and I'm like, "Actually, Xenoblade's different from other Xenos, but all right."
I really wish it just
had and that's kind of what they did with
a different name.
Go on, sorry.
I wish I had a different name altogether.
Oh, I always say
same.
Xenoblade was actually originally going to be called Monado, I believe.
Yeah, Monado, beginning of the world.
And I always say that I wish it was. I wish it was, because it's so different, and I wonder that had it not been connected via name to Xeno, that if maybe there would be less, I'm trying to find a way to not drop F-bombs and say this. It's very difficult for me.
That's kind of how I always treated them. I treated them as their own thing, because yeah, obviously Saga and Gears are connected, but I kind of treat them as their own thing. They are spiritual, right? But I'm just saying, obviously that there's that connection there, right?
I get jumpy,
but I still treat
so many people out here are always like,
no, that's
Gears
fine.
And Saga
and
take place.
Believe me, I'm actually agreeing with you.
I'm
just saying that, yeah, I kind of treat them as their own thing. They're very much their own series, despite the ways that people like to connect them. And yeah, there's some homages here and there, but it's really its own thing.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay. All right. Now that we have that out of the way, let's discuss the topic at hand, and that is with Shion Uzuki.
My girl.
Here comes the can of worms.
All right. Yeah. Oh. So, I guess I don't know exactly how we'll go about this. We could go by each episode of Xenosaga and how she is, or kind of go over some of, common complaints with Shion. But I guess, first of all, I should say that Shion Uzuki, is basically a head of the Cosmos project. She was with the first R&D division of Vector Industries. She worked on Cosmos with her deceased boyfriend.
Deceased.
Quotation mark. Kevin.
Almost winking at the camera.
Yeah. But yeah, she
hints of that he is very air quotes deceased in episode 1, which I was amazed when I went back and replayed. I was like, holy shit.
I'll definitely have to put a spoiler warning on this episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Spoiler.
We're not going to get around it.
Yeah. But yeah, she's definitely a different protagonist over some of the other Xeno games, because we had, I wouldn't say she's technically the only female protagonist, because depending on how you treat Cross, I would definitely say Elma's the main character of Cross.
Yeah, and then even if you're saying your Cross is the main character, which I would say it's not. I mean, you might be playing your Cross as a girl. So,
correct.
But even if it's but I would say Elma is more the main character than your player.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, what's everyone's? Well, I guess we know some of the opinions on Shion, but
we have some opinions.
Well, Justin, what's your opinion on Shion?
All right, so my opinion on Shion, I've gone through several phases with her. On one hand, I absolutely adore her. Then there's been days where I'm like, she's a freaking scumbag. And then there's other days where I look at that and I say, you know what? That's actually genius.
Yeah.
So it's like I go back and forth between absolutely loving her and absolutely hating her. And it's just like I'm so conflicted on this character, but not necessarily in a bad way, because I kind of think it's because this character can have that kind of effect on me. That's also kind of genius. So I guess in that sense, yeah, she's cool.
She's a very human character. and I really love that about her. 'Cause she's not perfect, but no one is. Perfect. So I love that.
The thing is that the reason that she's considered such a divisive character is because she's incredibly human, incredibly complicated, complex, and flawed. But she's a female character, and people freak out when female characters aren't easily put into little boxes, and she can't be put into a little box. And people read as mostly men freak out, but also a lot of women too, or others, because again, because there's internalized misogyny still going too, but the fact that she's so real and so complex means that they can't put her in little boxes. She has to be, like, treated as a person, and then, you know, people freak out.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was getting at. Like, the fact that I even have all these wildly different and conflicting feelings about her, that says something about the way she was developed. And I think the fact that she can have that effect on somebody, that's a pretty good thing. That's really cool. That shows a character being developed over the course of 3 games that's done in a way that you don't always see in Japanese works, especially works that are based on anime, or I know this isn't based off an anime, but I'm just saying, like, and generally in this kind of style of storytelling, you don't often see that. So for that, I think Shion Uzuki is a really impressive character.
I'm like right there with you, because I didn't even know how to take her when I first played the end, or when I got to the end of episode 3. I wasn't sure, you know, I mean, I didn't hate her. Like, I couldn't hate her. Like, you know, but, like, I wouldn't have, it's like, it was one of the first things that I had experienced, I guess, games, movies, books, whatever, where it's just like the main character did something that made sense, but I didn't really agree with. Like, I wouldn't have done that. In her shoes, I wouldn't have done what she would have done, but, like, I can't hate her for doing what she did, because one of the things about Xenosaga that impressed me all the way through was that, and Gears too, we kind of get, we get that from Faye too, is we get, like, you know, we get it from the beginning. You know, we have her childhood, you know, and we know from the database, you know, that she went to school, you know, so she has colleagues, and, you know, she works, and she has this job that, you know, she really cares about, and people that she really cares about, and, you know, people just kind of expect her to do things, but that's not what, you know, she decided. And I don't know, it just kind of blew me away, really. I didn't really know how to take her when I first played episode 3, because I was just like, well, I don't think I would have done that. But at the same time, like, it's all there.
Are you referring to, like, her leaving Vector, or her, like, stuff with Kevin at the end? I'm sorry, like, I'm not trying to figure out, like, exactly what you're referring to. when she makes the decision, okay, spoilers, obviously. Yeah, I'm sorry, we gotta get spoilers here.
We're good. We're good.
Like, super spoilers.
Cover your ears.
When she makes the decision to side with Kevin at the end.
Okay, alright.
Okay, and basically when she turns against the party.
I figured that's what you were talking about, but I wanted to be sure, because I know a lot of people, especially people who didn't play Missing Year, which is okay because it's hard to find, and also it wasn't written by Takahashi or Soraya, and it was not great, but important still. No. This is really weird for me though, to hear. This is, like, different from how I experienced her.
I mean, I really like her. I really respect her as a character. I mean, it's actually kind of ridiculous that, you know, she faces, like, so much, like, animosity in the Xeno community, because it's kind of ridiculous, because everything that she did made sense, and it's all there. I don't understand. That's, like, the disconnect with me and, like, people that play Saga and they don't get it. Like, for me, everything is there. Like, the framework for her decisions, and everything that she, that led up to that point, you know, because when we're in Shion's consciousness, we see her interacting as a child, you know, with young Kevin and all that stuff, and we also get to see in both, and actually all 3 of the games, even in episode 2, we get to see tender moments with Shion and Kevin together. I mean, so he's obviously somebody she really cares about, and not just not a little bit, but really, really cares about, you know, and like, all these other party members, and that's what makes Xenosaga so genius, is that all these other party members, like, they have different, backstories and stuff, what's about, and perspectives about what's going on, and, they obviously, they're obviously Shion's friends, one of the party members is, her sibling, a blood relative, and, and here she is, making these decisions that, they don't agree with, but, everything that she decided to do is still, it all makes sense to me. It just makes sense to me.
Now, this is all, like, really weird for me to hear, though, too, because, like, Shion, for me, was, like, the first time that I really looked at something and saw myself, like, totally reflected in a character. Later on, there's more characters who are more like me than her would show up, but, like, she was the first time, and I still relate to her a ton, that I just completely understood, like, her state of mind and, like, the feelings that she had and about everything that she did. I just related with all of that so violently, so intensely, just dealing, especially because, like, this was, like, okay, so, like, I lost my mom when I was in high school. So, like, dealing with her loss stuff and, like, her PTSD stuff was, like, that all came to me when that was all still, like, super fresh for me. So, I saw that in myself. I saw her just, like, bottomless spiraling despair and depression that she was sinking into with the PTSD and, like, trying to deal with that, but not doing a really good job of it, and feeling just hopelessly confused and lost. Those intense, horrifying feelings were just so raw and so real to me. I was just like, that's what I'm feeling right now. That's what I'm feeling. And seeing that reflected in this amazing character was just, like, so powerful for me. And that's when I get really, really defensive, is when people are like, oh, I fucking hate Shion. She's such a bitch. And all that. I'm like, okay, wow, it's, like, kind of feels like a personal attack on me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it just feels so real. See, I mean, I don't get it.
I know they don't mean it as an attack, but, like, when you're literally like, I hate this character and everything about her and her entire personality and everything she feels, it's like, okay, so you, like, literally hate me then. That's cool. That's cool. It's hard not to take it personally when it's like that, when this character is so raw and real for me.
Yeah, I understand that too, because I remember a few years ago there was an article on a website which I write from them now, so I probably shouldn't be saying so much.
I think I know which piece you're talking about.
There was an article.
Plugging. Oh, I know which website you're talking about.
Oh gosh, but I
think I know which piece
oh my
you're talking
gosh,
about, too.
I shouldn't be saying anything.
I think I know exactly which piece you're talking about.
They were saying, like, the best and worst female RPG characters, and of course, on the Hall of Shame was Shion, and I definitely don't agree with.
It's misogyny. It's straight up misogyny. I will say that again and again. It's because that she's a female character who is complex, has negative emotions, and also not just that. She's also an assertive character. She's not a very frail person. She's a very forward woman. She's a very intelligent woman, a very forward woman. She puts her feelings and thoughts out there. She's very firm and assertive, and people can't take that combined with her being a flawed, complex, realistic character. And if Shion was a man, there is no way that people would be this critical of her. They might still be critical of her from a whiny perspective, because, like, people then would perceive that as, like, non-masculine, but still, it's Shion being a woman and being complex and being assertive. At those two things together are what make people hate her. It's straight up misogyny, and there's really no way around it.
Yeah, I mean,
this comes from somebody who studied this stuff extensively, so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly where they stem from in this particular article, but it definitely, like, some of the things they listed, like, I brought it up right now, but it's, like, saying she doesn't grow as a character is completely false, and well,
Well, it probably stems from the
Yeah,
same place, but then they, like... sometimes when people, like, write stuff out or say stuff, they realize that it sounds fucking crazy, so then they start, like, reaching for excuses. And that's what that sounds like to me, because, like, nobody in their right mind's gonna play through Xenosaga and be like, Shion didn't grow at all as a character. She did not change or have any character development. That's, like, a blatantly wrong piece of information to state. So at that point, you're just, like, reaching for straws because you realize that what you're saying, what you actually feel about her, is wildly, violently misogynistic.
Yeah, she definitely... It's definitely not a case that she didn't grow. She definitely didn't grow. That's for sure. Whether or not you appreciate or like the change, I guess that's one thing. But you can never say, oh, she didn't grow.
I think a lot of it, some of it might have been perceived because people don't really understand, like, negative character development. In a sense, it was that for her. I wouldn't say that it's one-for-one negative character development so much as her inner self starts coming out more and more, because as things get worse, she can't keep pretending any longer. She can't keep, like, pretending to be, like, happy and friendly anymore, and she slowly, becomes more and more unstable because of that.
And there's just so much
veneer
pressure
starts coming
from everybody
off.
else, too.
Yeah.
Like, man.
The veneer comes off, and then, so it seems
also,
negative, but it's more like, probably for her in terms of coping and, reaching the root of her problems. It's probably good that the veneer gets off eventually, but you know what I mean.
And also, it's kind of interesting, because I know you mentioned the PTSD element of her. Yeah. And it's really hard to write about that, and you often don't see it in Japanese works like this, or like
I'd be careful to just put it like that. That's, like, probably getting into a little bit racist territory. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I would not say that, because there's plenty of, like, American or any other...
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, just typical, like, JRPGs. That's basically what I'm talking about. Like, I don't see it. If it's out there, then awesome. But
yeah, but I mean, it's also not in, like, American RPGs either. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
It's a rare element in any kind of story.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make was, it's interesting that it's here because it's portrayed in kind of a way that was obviously relatable to you.
Very.
And I think that other people might find it relatable too, and that maybe, just like you said before, people might not necessarily know how to handle it because it's not really seen a whole lot.
Yeah. And usually when that stuff is
Especially
seen,
in this kind of
again,
format.
It's not with female characters, because female characters aren't usually given room to exist in such 3 dimensions. So I think that throws people off even more.
Like a recent series that did something kind of similar was Steins Gate.
Oh god, yeah.
Has anybody been watching Steins Gate Zero? I know the anime just premiered, but I read the novel.
Me neither.
My fiance and I, we've played a little bit of the VN, but we haven't gotten that through yet. But I've seen the original Steins Gate,
Right,
and the PTSD
So, like,
in
the
that
VN,
is amazing too.
The VN and Zero, they go more into that.
I have no doubt, because
this is the point. This is the point I was trying to make. You don't see it often, so it's kind of interesting that when you finally do see it, it's interesting to see how people react to that.
It's can sometimes make you feel pretty disappointed in humanity, tragically.
Right.
But no, I wish that more people would at least, like, listen. Like, I don't know, like, you don't have to, like, get it right away, especially if this isn't something you're used to. But, like, just going around and, like, acting like, I don't know, it's you should just hate this character or something, or it's it's really whiny and not being opening to listen to what, like, other people have to say about it, and people who, like, might know the subject more intimately than you. You gotta at least, like, keep an open mind, I guess.
Right. But yeah, it is great that I think we can all agree that she is a multi-dimensional character, and an example of one that's done in such a way that can have all these different effects on the players. And that's kind of uncommon.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that we can have, the fact that we're even having this conversation in general speaks volumes to how she was written. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say that I never, I want, no matter what I'm doing, I want somebody to hate me for it, because if somebody doesn't hate you for it, you're probably not doing something right. Because if we're living in a world where, like, Donald Trump exists, then, that's kind of how it just is, If that makes sense. Does that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're living in a world where Donald Trump exists, so, like, if I'm not... There are people out here who are... If I'm appeasing everyone, then I'm not doing something right. You know? Because if I'm appeasing everyone, then I'm appeasing Donald Trump. And I don't want to appease Donald Trump. I know that's kind of a weird jump to make, but...
No, it's fine. But, I mean, it's kind of interesting to think about how Shion... I mean, like, the poster child for Xenosaga has become Cosmos, but Shion is definitely the character.
Main character.
Yeah, she's the main character. She's had the most screen time of any of the characters, and it's just interesting how... I mean, I really wish there was more... well... I definitely love that throwback in Xenoblade 2 during Cosmos' side quest. That was nice and unexpected. Because I don't know if you guys have seen or played that side quest or seen anything about that.
I would play Cosmos' side quest if the game would be gracious enough to let me have Cosmos. Considering I've played the game 2.5 times now, and I still don't have her.
Oh my god!
I'm
At
just
that point, you throw out the whole damn Switch.
I'm so sorry.
I'm
so sorry for you.
Even with these legendary crystals I got from getting torn, I was just like, oh god, I know it's. Maybe I just luck of the draw, man. It's like less than 1% chance, and it's just like so many people have her, and I'm just like sitting here with my arms crossed, pouting in the corner.
So I have some advice for you. Did this work for me? I don't know if it might work for you. So
the summoning circle.
When I got no. So when I got Xenoblade 2, and I was playing it, I absolutely hated it, and then I got really pissed off because the game has some notoriously bad memory issues. So the game would just crash if you leave it on for a certain amount of time and you don't close the application. Like you put the Switch into sleep mode, and then if you do that after a certain amount of time, the game will just crash. So it crashed on me in the middle of, I think it was Chapter 3, when you get Mithra. So you fight that boss, and then in the middle of the cutscene you get Mithra. The game just crashed right in the middle of a cutscene, and I couldn't save, so I was pissed off. And I stopped playing for, like, I think a week and a half. I was like, I am done with this game. I am not playing it ever again. So the update came out that fixed some of it. And I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll give this game a second chance. I play it. The first crystal I opened was Cosmos. I think that was the game's way of trying to get me back. It was like, you know what? We're sorry. We're sorry we screwed up before. Here's Cosmos. Be happy.
But yeah, I see all these screenshots. Everyone's got her, and I'm just like sitting here with just Telos and my party going, "Yep, anytime now, anytime."
Be pissed at the game for a week, and you'll get it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Oh.
Hi there. Did your mic screw up?
Are you there?
Hello?
Oh, Kristi. Oh. Are you there, Kristi?
Uh-oh. Man
Are
down.
you there, Kristi?
Kristi!
Oh. Uh-oh.
Man down. Man down. No.
Alright. Are you there?
She's here, but she's not here.
God, I can't spell.
I think she might have locked off by accident.
Uh,
Well, fellas, we pissed off the first and hopefully not last woman we have on this podcast.
No, as long as there's Xenosaga fans, I'm sure.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of what else we could talk about in terms of Shion.
So is there any gameplay topics we can discuss with Shion? Like, maybe...
like, what do you mean?
I'm trying to think of that. Like, we could talk about her relationship with some of the other characters. Like, maybe her relationship
or,
with
Miyuki. Since we were talking about Cosmos, we could go straight into their relationship.
Cosmos, right.
So,
all right, let's get. How about this? Let's give Kristi like an extra 5 to 10 minutes, since I'm sure she has a lot to say about this, and probably really good stuff.
She does.
So I'd love to hear what she has to say about it. So.
I know I've been.
Let's just give her like 5 minutes.
But...
No, you're doing
Don't
good.
Worry about it,
you're
man.
doing good.
You're good.
Okay.
We got a good conversation going.
Because I mean, we've technically already discussed her relationship with Kevin.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to go into Jen a little bit though too.
Yeah, and her and her brother. We can do that as well.
Yeah, because that was always a fascinating relationship to me, a brother and sister relationship in a game.
It was kind of interesting because I definitely, I mean, she seemed very standoffish with him, but because it almost felt like she was blaming.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Oh, there you are.
God, I'm sorry.
We were worried about you.
Trash. It completely dropped out there.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just glad you're back. But
I'm sorry. What'd I miss?
Nothing, because we actually wanted to wait for you to come back, because we're going to talk about Shion's relationship with characters, and I figured you would have a lot to say about that.
Oh, yes, I do. Thank you.
Well, since we first started to talk about her relationship with her brother, let's do that first.
Oh, boy. Oh, okay. I've got some feelings.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of Shion fans that don't really like Jin that much.
It's not so much that we...
Yeah, but I love Shion, but like they don't like Jin. But I think that like their relationship has always been super interesting. So.
The thing is, it's like I wouldn't quite put it like that. It's like I like Jin as a character, but he treats Shion like shit. He treats most people like shit. Honestly, the thing about Jin is that most Jin fans are out here like he's so nice and so smart, and I'm like, what the fuck? Sorry, he's just very.
He's very protective of her.
No, it's not that. It's he's got some issues with that's one thing, but he's got some issues with denying other people's like feelings and being like holier than thou. He's got some got this like really like almost, he's not like a narcissist, but he's got this, he definitely thinks that he's like better than everyone, but is like
it's a superiority
superiority complex. That's the word I'm looking for. He's got that. He's got a superiority complex that he won't admit, and it's it affects his relationship with everyone. And I mean, you kind of see him and Margulis butting heads because of that. But you see it, I think, a lot in how he treats Pellegrini as well. And Shion actually at one point calls him out on it and is like, you know, like maybe if you weren't like this, Pellegrini wouldn't be like that. You know, it's He's complicated. I think, like most Xenosaga characters, he's very complicated.
Yeah,
because
I've always seen that. Reduced. I've always seen that, like, sort of like mode of like being better or like trying to, you know, get into situations and, you know, be like the person kind of in charge, or he doesn't. It's like his way of coping with certain things.
For sure.
In the same way that Shion copes with things in ways that the party doesn't agree with, Jin kind of does his thing. But
everybody in the game has that in some way or another.
Yeah. I mean, but like it was just fascinating to me always that, I mean, it's not like Jin doesn't care about Shion because of, you know, the way she is or how she does things, but it's just that, you know, he kind of like doesn't really know, like he wants to help, but he doesn't really know how to help. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't help in the right way.
He has his own he wants to help, but he doesn't like know her well enough and won't make the effort to know her well enough to actually like do that effectively. And he's kind of got that problem in general just because of that headspace he's in. And again, it's his way of coping with things. It's not great, but that's how he's coping with shit.
Yeah, I feel like he's the kind of character where deep down he wants to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he isn't exactly the best at expressing himself to people or even interacting with people, and instead he does these things that in his mind is the right thing to do. He has this weird sense of justice that he adheres to, but doesn't realize that what he's doing isn't always the most efficient way to go about solving the problems that he faces. It's kind of actually very similar to Seton from Xenogears in a few ways.
Oh yeah.
More than just looks, but
more than just looks. Like there's some parallels there for sure. But yeah, I think that's kind of the thing that's going on with Jin. And actually, you could kind of say that with a lot of the Xenosaga characters. They all have their own sense of justice and their own ways of doing.
They all have their own ways of like viewing the world, and it like kind of just affects the other characters in ways that I don't think that a lot of the characters themselves expect. Like Jin's obviously, I think one of the scenes that I think of in Xenosaga 3 is when Jin leaves the tea on Shion's like bed. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He like leaves the tea there, where he's like, I want to help you, but I'm not really gonna talk to you about it.
Yeah.
But that affects Shion negatively more than he expects it to, I think.
But it's fair though, because he's doing that thing where he's like, I'm going to help you, but only as I see fit. I'm not going to actually make the effort to help and find out how to help and help in the way that you need to be helped. He only does it to the extent that he can recognize as helping, and can't go beyond that. It's helping without helping. He's doing this thing where he's patting himself on the back, oh, look at how much I've helped. And then it's no, you didn't do that.
Well, I mean, I can understand a little bit. Maybe, he just doesn't understand how to help, and I feel like that might be tearing him up a little bit because he wants to help her, but he just doesn't know how, and it's maybe heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah, and even when Shion does turn against the party, I don't think Jin really knows how to help her. Obviously, he kind of just goes the other way with it, and he's just this is the way you're going, then fine.
Yeah, because it's not him that steers her away. It's Alan and Cosmos that snap her out of it. So it's
But again, you see him doing that the way he's all right, then let's fucking throw down. It's again he doesn't help. He only helps as far as he can do in his own little sphere. He does not leave his sphere. He doesn't really get out of that space that he's in of that superiority complex, and that I will only help in the ways that I think people should be helped, and not respond. He doesn't get out of that sphere of just not responding to others until the very end, and unfortunately we all know where that ends. But he has his moment of redemption there, where he realizes though what he's been doing wrong and how he's kind of driven everybody away all this time, because he's only willing to go so far for people because he thinks that his way is always going to be the right way, and he realizes it tragically at the very end.
That's true.
Yeah. I've got strong feelings.
I can tell.
I've got some strong feelings. I think the fans similar to, again, I kind of talked about people being harsher on Shion because she's a woman. Similarly, you've got that, people think Jean is, this cool, mysterious guy, so people tend to be, softer on him and, make him a nicer person than he actually is. You see that, I think, a lot in the fandom because he's got that cool, mysterious guy vibe, and everyone's like, whoa, and I'm like... All right, just to, see him for what he is. That's all I want people to do. And I think he's a great character because he's kind of a jerk.
And you know what? That's something that I really like about the Xenosaga universe is that take on morality that they have, and you see that with a lot of the characters. Actually, this could be a good topic for another episode.
Yeah.
How Xenosaga tackles morality, because there's a lot to be said. I mean, we discussed a lot of it just now.
Yeah, I feel like it goes into everything a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, but I really, really enjoy how they did that. And I think having Jin there, the fact that Jin is the way he is a great way to contrast some of the other characters' views on morality and how to live their life and how to solve the things that come their way. I think that's just, for that, I think Jin is genius. Kind of like how I said how Shion was genius for giving me conflicting feelings. I think Jin is genius for that too, because of his superiority complex and because of how he's so stuck in his ways. It's just yet another thing to help. And it even helps develop the other characters more and just makes them more
Also,
three-dimensional.
something about that is I really like how he's, like, visually and, like, motif is, like, shown to be, like, stuck in his ways. Because he likes all the old stuff, right?
Right.
But instead of, like...
right.
And it seems like...
Exactly.
But the thing about that is... Wait, I'm not done yet. This is an important part. Oh, no! This is an important part.
Go for it.
It's the thing is that in and of itself isn't bad, but he's, like, uses it almost like a shield. Like, much like... It's like a shield for him, much like... his, like, sense of morality is, like, he uses that sort of like a shield. Do you know what I mean? It's, like, it's a metaphor almost for the way that he's, like, oh, look at how great and right the way I'm doing things is without really, like, looking outside of it. So he, like, throws that up as a shield and throws his own ways up as a shield, and I think that like, old-style visuals and motif for him kind of accentuates that, if that makes sense. I'm having trouble,
No,
okay.
you're actually
spot on.
saying amazing things right now. And
Thank
that's,
you. I'm having trouble
actually
articulating
great.
it, but yeah.
And I'm to add to that, you also see it in his behavior. Like, the game kind of plays him up as the cool, calm, and strategic character. But when you actually take a second to think about it, that's when you really realize what else is going on over there.
Yeah. No, for sure. The game definitely, like, plays with your expectations for him, as I think he plays with his others' expectations for him in universe. There's a lot about expectations in Xenosaga now that I really think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that even goes back to Shion. I mean, all the expectations that people had with her being a woman and being a lead character in this, they kind of had these expectations of her. I mean, like, when you first see her, she's like this really, really upbeat, like kind of almost like a happy-go-lucky type of girl. It kind of reminded me of Luca from Chrono Trigger a little bit in some ways, but obviously she goes a very different path than the way Luca did.
You
in
very
Chrono Trigger,
quickly see with Shion that, like, her upbeat thing is, like, really, really fake, because it goes away more and more with each game. Because it's a fake persona she's portraying.
Yeah, by episode... by episode 3, I felt bad sometimes the way she treated Miyuki, because she kind of lashed out.
Wait. Let's stop with that there, though. Because everybody is always like, Shion is so mean to Miyuki, and I'm like, everybody is mean to Miyuki. Chaos is even mean to Miyuki. That's like the joke. The joke is
true.
Everybody's mean to Miyuki. Everybody singles out Shion, and it's only because Shion has more scenes with her because they work together. But literally every other person is also a dick to Miyuki. It's
true.
not just Shion. It's really not. And that's people again feed into this, like, Shion is a bitch atmosphere, and I'm like, okay, so whatever, alright? She's a bitch in the best possible way, because what they mean by that is that she's forward and assertive and gets shit done. That's all they're saying when they mean she's a bitch. She's not randomly mean to people for no reason. The joke is just everybody's mean to Miyuki. Again, even Chaos is mean to Miyuki. He literally, like, laughs in her face at one scene. Like, and I'm like, people literally constantly single Shion out for this, when, like, the nicest, sweetest guy in this entire fucking game is out here making fun of Miyuki. And I'm like, alright, okay, go off. Sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah, no. Shion can absolutely be short with people, but I think people criticize her unduly for it.
It just seemed more prominent than in episode 1, where she seemed like more happy-go-lucky, I guess.
Right.
That's fair. I wouldn't use Miyuki as the statement, though, because everybody makes fun of Miyuki as like kind of the joke of that.
That's
game.
true.
So like.
Yeah.
But again, that goes back to what you just said about expectations.
That's true.
How do you mean?
How the first episode,
okay.
Gotcha. Shion is shown a certain way. People kind of expect that. So as soon as she deviates from that, to some people, it's just like, what's going on here?
People also had trouble with her, like, design becoming more reflective of who she really was. And I think a lot of people forgot that her outfit from the first game is literally a uniform. and expected that like she was going to be like this like ditzy scientist because of the glasses and like the uniform and stuff. They like put her into that role, and immediately people didn't like her in episode 1 though, because that's not who she was. Like right off the bat, she wasn't ditzy scientist, you know, she wasn't that sort of character right off the bat. And like then in episode 2 and 3, she's wearing her like actual normal clothes that she like would pick out herself. And they have a like continuing. She wears like she got pants. She's got her little belly showing shirts and the cool jackets and stuff. It's more like reflective of her personality. And I think people were just like mad. They're like, I want my cute ditzy scientist that I can put into a neat little box, and freaked out because of that. Because I've seen a lot of people criticize.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people criticize Choco's designs, but I really like them.
I will defend them to the ends of the earth.
Yes.
Yeah, same.
I mean,
I actually really like her episode 2 outfit.
Her episode 2 outfit. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Her 2 and 3 outfits are so good. I mean, there's a reason I would jump right to cosplaying the swimsuit from 2 and her outfit from 3. I'm like, those are high fashion. I'm like, I want that coat.
Yeah, I kind of wish they made an episode 2 Shion figure. That would have been really nice.
Oh god, me too. That's such a good look. I love her like leather jacket with those cool like cloth bits hanging down. Really neat. Really good look. I actually went out. I remember I went out and bought like a red camisole after I started playing episode 2 because I'm like, I want to look like Shion. Just imagine like little 17-year-old me just like, I want to look like Shion. And I actually, when I first started eating glass, when
episode 2 rep.
Yeah, hell yeah. I episode 2 gets a bad
rep.
Oh.
Okay, it's so funny because like the last episode and last 2 episodes at this point, we had Pure on, and he gave episode 2 a lot of love. Even the first episode, Tyler and I, we spoke about
the majority of the podcast was episode 2. It was.
It gets so much flack, and it makes me so mad that people like hate it so much, and I don't get it. I'm like, all right, okay, but at this point, I deal with so much just from loving Shion as fiercely as I do. At this point, I'm like, all right, I don't understand any of you. So I just like take a step back when it comes to people hating episode 2. I'm just like, you're wrong. I'll just step back from that because I've gone off enough already.
No, it's understandable. I mean, I admit I was very kind of disappointed with episode 2 at first, but as time's gone by, I've warmed up to it more.
I'll admit that the battle system is horrible, and I don't like it.
The load
that's what I was going to say. Just get rid of the battle system.
I don't care, because the story and atmosphere and characters will always mean more to me than the battle system.
True.
So I'm like, I don't care. I'll play it.
Yeah, the story was so good.
System. Yeah, the story was actually okay. It was just the battle system really drove me up a wall. But the story itself was actually fine. And I think we said this too in a previous episode that like there were some genuinely great story moments in episode 2. It's just it had to have such a ridiculously dumb battle system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people can't see past that, tragically. It's in the same way, I mean, it's the same way that, like, a lot of people slept on Nier Replicant, and even going back even further, the original Drakengard. See, I like the Nier Replicant's battle system, but Drakengard's battle system, the original Drakengard, horrible to play. Absolute slog. But it's a wonderful game. It's one of my favorite games because the story and atmosphere of the game makes up for literally being the worst battle system that I've ever had. The fucking misery. I'm sorry I swear so much.
It's
oh my god, you can bleep me out.
No,
it's okay. Maybe I'll try to find some like Xeno noises and throw them in his bleeps.
Put like the email ding from episode 1 over every Just be like, warning, we've got a crazy Shion fan on this on this episode, and she can't stop swearing. But just have Shion, like, just find a clip of Shion going, hey, or something every time, I swear, just put it over that.
I do have some Shion audio clips, so I might be able to do that.
Oh my god. Point is, though, it's always a thing for me, and I think that is why, people don't like episode 2 is the battle system, because most people can't see past the gameplay at the end of the day, which is sad, because a lot of people, I think, still think of video games as just being about the gameplay and not taking into account the story, atmosphere, characters, all that, I think that's why episode 2 gets all the shit that it does, is because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yes?
Oh, no, it's fine, go on.
Well, since we talked about, Shion and her relationship with Jen, I suppose now would be a good time to talk about her relationship with, Cosmos.
Be gay. to be gay. Honestly, Shion and Cosmos were actually the thing that initially captured me right away when I was first playing episode 1, because it's I think it's a very overwhelming experience to go right into Xenosaga, because it's a lot in episode 1, and they don't explain the terms. You gotta look through the encyclopedia. You gotta familiarize yourself with the world, so it can be really overwhelming. But even during that initial shock, they drew me, because their connection and relationship, I could tell right away that was going to be something special, and it immediately just captured my heart. I don't know how else to put it. And I remember the end of episode 1, I just felt so wholly in love with the series when, Shion's waiting for Cosmos to come back and tries to catch her and pull her up,
that scene.
Pain is playing in the background and you're crying, and it's that entire sequence was such a, I feel like I obviously I was already in love at that moment, but that was the moment that I really realized it, that I was like, oh god, this game means so much to me, was just seeing the two of them. Their bond was just delightful. I have a lot to say about this too, and I'm please let other people talk as well. I will never shut up about this if you let me just go off. So that's my warning.
No, you're fine. I mean, definitely their relationship throughout the entire series was always interesting, because it started off almost like a mother-daughter kind of relationship, but then it kind of changed throughout the series into something completely different.
Oh yeah.
And
and again, it's just to go about expectations, because initially you see Shion and Cosmos, and you kind of you almost think of it, because this isn't the first time we see a human robot relationship. We've seen it in other video games or in other anime, like Mega Man, for example, or Astro Boy.
It's something that's in tons of stuff.
Right.
It's in tons of stuff. So you see it, you kind of think, oh, so this is going to be another one of those things. But I think one of the big differences here is that, in my opinion at least, I don't know if you guys agree, but this is one of the first times where I saw that dynamic on a level where the robot, quote unquote, actually learns from the human and actually tries to adapt those traits into their functions in everyday life, because you really get to see Cosmos become more and more human. And I know Tyler and I, we've discussed this before too, and the way she acts, the way she even speaks too. It's just it's interesting.
I think I saw it more as I don't know, obviously there is the human-robot interaction part, but I think there's definitely the relationship to me, and this is coming from somebody who loves human-robot stuff. I am fisting android girls. Not to... Sorry, I couldn't resist making the joke. God, somebody... I should come with a warning.
Parental advisory sticker.
I am not safe for work at any given point in my life. And I genuinely apologize for that. I don't know why I do know why I'm like this, but I don't have a filter. But I think that there was something more to it, because there's also the whole Mary Magdalene. Not, obviously, we're getting into spoilers again,
right? But
there's the Mary Magdalene and her soul, fragment of soul, kind of within Cosmos. I think adds a level where it's not purely a human-robot relationship. So it has an element of that, but it has an element of something more along the lines of reincarnated, reincarnated partners, like reincarnated lover kind of trope, like the destined to find your way back to each other. So it's kind of got that like reincarnation.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, like Gears.
Like Faye and Ellie.
And they definitely have Faye and Ellie parallels.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, they've got the...
That's what I was trying to get to, because like it's just because like you said, I 100% agree. It starts off as this like human robot, but it really does become something much more than that, and I think that's kind of what sets them apart from, say, the Dr. Light and Mega Man relationship that we've seen countless of times in the past.
Yeah, no, it's a more complex entity than that, and I think also if you want to get into all right, I'll reserve that for my own, tuck that in my pocket for my own queer theory stuff. Sorry, just had a thought, but I don't want to get into it here because it would require like another hour of me just talking about queer theory in order to begin explaining it. But I think there's also like, how do I put this? There's also like a Frankenstein element to it, almost a building your own person sort of deal.
Oh yeah,
that goes beyond like the human robot thing. It's a little bit different than that because there's, again, this is where I'm like, okay, don't go off into a queer theory thing, Kristi, or it'll confuse everybody because that will require so much explanation in order for it to make sense. Building your own person is gay, is all I'll say. Go look up queer shit and Frankenstein if anybody's interested, or come to my podcast when we eventually get that going. But that's like another thing going too, is like the Frankenstein thing, and almost how do I put this? The creation taking on a life of its own in a way that's different from the robot, the robot creator connection. I don't know, it's a little bit different, I feel. Does that make sense? I don't know if you've anyone's read Frankenstein here.
Yeah, I've read it.
I 100% agree with you.
Alright. Yeah, I feel like it's a slightly different thing, and you got a little bit of that there. I mean, obviously with less horror, but
well, yeah.
But I think that inherently, and I think the fact that realians exist within Xenosaga kind of hints to that, where there's like robots, but what about like fleshy robots, you know, so to speak? And then like when you make a person out of flesh versus making a person out of metal, ends up with like different connotations within media. And I feel like I'm getting way off topic from where I was initially going. So I'm just going to reel this back in, tuck it in my pocket, and save it for my own podcast.
I was hoping the Mary Magdalene thing would pop up because like that's one of the things that distances a lot of people from Xenosaga, is that like kind of almost like religious connection.
Oh yeah, like Jesus.
It's so funny that
Yeah, Jesus and Mary Magdalene are characters in Xenosaga.
Oh yeah, Jesus is here. He's wearing booty shorts.
But
yeah, he's a more accurate depiction than most Christian depictions of Jesus because he's actually not white. Wow.
Yeah. I was, pretty excited because, like I said, I read Childhood's End. And, I see a lot of criticism when it comes to, like that plot point. But have any of you guys read Childhood's End all the way through?
Yes, I fucking love it.
I have not.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Literally, when I realized that Corellian, quote unquote, I always call him Corellian because I got so mad that they mistranslated that in America. That his name's supposed to be Corellian in Xenogears. I just about lost my mind because he got what Corellian in the book could not, and I don't want to say any more than that because I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't read it. But it's a really good book, and I really loved it and read it before I even got into Xeno. So it was like for me.
I'm probably gonna spoil a little bit here for you.
Oh, that's fine.
It's from the 60s, so I think it's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
It's a book from the 60s, and I see the plot point, criticized a lot, that they bring in these religious figures to, this story.
The devils. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. When I read Childhood's End, so the big deal with Childhood's End is that the aliens come to Earth and they peacefully invade, quote unquote, and then they hide themselves. They don't show their appearance for like several generations of humanity to get humanity accustomed to them being here. And when they reveal themselves, their identity, they look like Satan, is what they look like, with wings and tails and horns and all that stuff. And I kind of feel like Xenosaga is kind of like an extension of that dialogue that
sci-fi and religion blending together, because it's very possible to say that anything religious could just be science that we don't understand yet. Like the way Udu exists. Udu would be what we would call God, but it's really just a
I think Udu
on another
and
dimension.
The upper domain is more like the overmind in Childhood's End, but like one of the things that's in all the Xeno games so far, I think, I'm trying to think of examples to say that for sure, but like at least in Gears, Saga, and the first Blade, like assimilation into like a greater being is like a big thing that Takahashi and Saga do. They that was because in Gears it's the pieces being formed of Deus, like humans being parts for Deus.
Right.
In Saga, it's
and
the gnosis. It's the gnosis going to the collective unconscious or whatever,
or
and then
failing to go to the collective unconscious.
And in Xenoblade, the biggest analog for in that one is actually the Telethia, because the Telethia, they become. I haven't played Blade 1 in forever, but
same.
They become
and
the
it was so forgettable.
The Hyentia become the Telethia, and they like all become. They're like becoming one with like the Bionis or something like that.
And it's interesting also if you think about all these different examples we have of that across Xeno games. They're all very different levels of horrifying. you know? Like, in some cases, it's a very good thing, and in some, it's very not. And in some, it's like, your mileage may vary, which I think also reflects sort of the ideas that Childhood's End was putting out as well.
And I wanted to bring that up, and why the relationship between Cosmos and Shion and the Mary Magdalene stuff was so fascinating to me, is because, Kristi, since you've read the book, I don't think Clark is a very good character writer. He is a big ideas person, and the characters kind of just, they're just
the characters aren't the point.
They're just vehicles for his ideas. So but Xenosaga takes that a step further. It's just here's these characters that grow and develop with this, and that's what's so striking to me.
But best of both worlds. It has the ideas, but with compelling characters at the same time. Absolutely. I mean, I'm think about it. I haven't read Childhood's End in several years now, but I'm the only character whose name I remember is Corellin. And you think about that, and I think that goes to show. I could tell you all about what happens in the book, but I only remember the name of one character in it.
Yeah,
that's
because that's the thing is that the story is just there.
Yeah, it's a conceptual thing more than a tale, so to speak. No, totally.
But it's one of the things I just really appreciated about that kind of relationship, because they brought it in. I thought it was pretty natural.
Yeah, I like the idea that it kind of put forth the Mary Magdalene stuff. For me, it wasn't so much that in and of itself, although Xenosaga did make me obsessed with Mary Magdalene, and I read a bunch of books and watched a bunch of documentaries on her, and now I go off all the time about how much wrong information there is about her out there. Oh my god! But that's another story altogether. But
and that's what I was saying. When I first got into Xenosaga, and it became such an experience for me. Is
he's gobbled up everything.
Everything. Everything just becomes part of the bigger narrative, and everything just you just get into it, and something that you learn, you learn something new, and you can go back and just apply it to this game.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I was saying. regarding, like, I guess what was really interesting for me, though, was just the idea, and I love stuff like this, so maybe this is probably why I fixate on it, but I really like the idea, then, that there's Cosmos, and then there's Mary Magdalene, that, like, Cosmos becomes her own person, that's, like, based on Mary Magdalene, but then, like, also based on her own experiences, like, this idea that, like, I don't know, like, there's, like, kind of that, like, nature and nurture kind of coexist within every single person. So, like, if you make a clone of somebody, they're not going to be the same thing.
Exactly.
And I mean, this is obviously the same thing with, like, Momo and Sakura, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like,
you can
all
make
of
a clone of someone, but they're not going to be the same person eventually.
Or,
and I think that happens with Cosmos, and I don't think that's talked about enough in, like, the fans, among the fans, because...
the same thing with the URTVs as well.
Yeah,
well,
because we all know Dmitry Yuriev is one big hell of a bastard. But, Guinan's a really nice guy, and so's Junior. Citrine could have been. Let's just press F for Albedo. But yeah, no, that's the thing. It's such a prevalent theme across Xeno, and I wish more people would, like, mention that with Cosmos, because that's, like, one of my favorite things, is that she has her moment where she's like, I am not Mary, you know? And that's, and I think that's also, like, goes to speak about the complexities and interesting to her and Shion's relationship as well, because that sort of, she rebels and becomes her own person because of how much Shion means to her and everything she's experienced with Shion, because she will willingly defy what she was created for in order to save Shion, in order to be on Shion's side. You know, she it's like the one thing that is truly hers is that, like, love for Shion, and that those experiences that she shares with her are, like, what truly, like, gives her her own personhood outside of Mary.
I think that's kind of where Justin was going with it. It was Justin, right?
I can't tell anyone's voice apart.
Okay. Yeah. But where Justin was going, how it's different than other, like, human-robot relationships.
Yeah.
Like, Cosmos kind of just kind of takes in those experiences and kind of just makes her own persona that's outside of, you know, what she was supposed to, quote-unquote, be, you know.
Absolutely.
And just all the characters in this series, they're amazing.
Yes.
They truly are. And I really also want to put it out there that there is, and maybe I will catch some heat for this, but I love catching heat. No, I will put it out there, and it's particularly actually, I actually do a whole bit on this in one of the panels that I present at conventions. My fiance and I do panels together, and our, like, flagship one, the one that, like, we always do no matter what, it's, like, our introductory 101 queer theory panel. I actually talk about Xenosaga at one part during it, and how, basically, well, the technical word here would be queer textual gaps, but, basically what happens here is that in the scene where Alan confesses his love for, Shion, Cosmos does the same, but the fandom completely overlooks it and trivializes it because it's same-sex desire instead of heterosexual desire.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really that big of an Alan fan.
That's fair. He's fine. I'm not, like, I won't live or die for him. I'm not,
I mean,
you know.
and that's it for
I don't
me.
love him or hate him. He's there. He sure is Alan, you know. He's cool.
He's just kind of there for me, yeah. I don't know.
Same. I don't hate him by any means. I just don't think he's the most interesting character at all. But still, though, that's the thing, is that the way that, you know, fandom will see, like, Cosmos' confession as, like, less legit, despite all the other stuff, all the other gay shit that happens in the series, the still, like, a forthright confession is, like, so foreign for people between, for like, same-sex, pairings, that, like, people, like, literally can't process it and literally, like, won't see it. A really good example of that in, like, okay, actually, I should stop. I'm going off about queer theory. I'm going on my train. This is what I study. This is, like, my thing, so, no, but, like, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, there's a part in it, and my fiance always tells about that in one of her queer theory classes, they had everyone read a a section of it. And they were like, why the hell are we reading this queer theory
Oh my
class?
gosh.
And they came back, and they're like, so did you all notice the part where he was hooking up with dudes in the alley? And everyone's like, wait, what? Because your mind literally will glaze over it because you don't expect it to be there because of, like, what we are, like, used to. It's what heteronormativity is. Heteronormativity is a hell of a drug, so your mind will literally skip right past it. And that's, literally what happens in that scene is Cosmo's saying that she has the same feelings for Shion, and everyone just goes, whoop, jumps like, hots right on over that line, and pretends or like acts like it's not legit or not real in some way or form, which is absolutely tragic considering how obvious it really is, and how much development has gone into the relationship throughout the entire series and culminating in episode 3. Oh, sorry.
Now, something I'm kind of interested to do. Maybe you can answer because I don't know. Maybe you've seen it. How does the Japanese version of that scene play
I really
out?
don't know. I haven't actually looked into that specifically. I would imagine it's around the same, but
because there's some, because I know sometimes there's because in Japanese you have Suki and Daisuke, and sometimes translators mess that up.
Well,
where
those aren't even the words that are being used in the English version, though. It's a much more complex. That scene is a much more complex confession than just simply "I like you, I love you," or like using breaking out the big
That's why I'm curious to see the Japanese one, just because I'm just kind of curious to know how they tackled it.
But even then, I'm not going to say that even if it was different, I would not say that it delegitimizes the English one at all either.
No, definitely not. I was just curious. Totally.
I'm curious now too. Now that you bring it up, I know that there's. I might have to. My sister knows Japanese. I'll have her look at it because I know there's someone has the Japanese voice tracks up on YouTube. Actually, I think I have them all saved. God, but on the most part, I prefer the English dub, mostly because I really don't like Shion's Japanese voice actress. I think that she's incredibly ill-fitting. I'm not a super big fan of her American one either, but I at least find it a little more fitting. It's weird.
Well, I at least like Leah Sargent more than like all the other voice actresses that played Shion.
Yeah, God, yeah, there was. I forgot how many different actors went in through. Oh God, that's another story altogether. Crispin Freeman, though, rocking and shining. We'll never get over that.
He was.
There's really, a couple of that out of the park.
There's a couple of scenes that I've liked watching in Japanese more than the English.
Yeah.
But I think that like some of her emotional reactions in Japanese sound a little more believable.
Oh no, that's my thing right there. Is that I think the Japanese version, I think Shion is much, like, technically speaking, better voiced because, like, I think her, like, emotional range is better.
Yeah.
And is more convincing, but her English actor, just at least, she has her like, just bass tone and, like, general, like, demeanor and, like, aura, I guess, I don't know, sounds more fitting. I find her, like, Japanese voice to be, like, a little too, like, almost, like, demure sounding, and I would say it's just cultural, but I would also say it's not, because there's such a, anime tropes and, like, such a wide range of voices that go into, like...
Yeah, I'm not a Japanese... I can't speak Japanese or anything, but, like, the scene where, they're, like, dressing her down in front of the party, criticizing her and stuff like that, like, that... Yeah. That sounded really believable to me, and also... The scene where she's getting tortured by Wilhelm, the scream is like...
Oh yeah,
it's,
for sure.
The scream is something else.
Yeah, it's kind of...
she's getting tortured. Kind of weird, but like...
It sounded kind of awkward in the English version a little bit, that scene.
Oh no, for sure. But again, as I said, I feel like the Japanese one's done technically better, but it's just the tone of her voice. It's just like it just doesn't seem like it's a voice that is fitting for Shion. It like I put it. It's not quite as bad as this, but have you ever heard the Japanese voice for Raiden in Metal Gear? He has a really deep voice in Japanese, and it's really off-putting.
Yeah, I've heard it
It's the same sort of thing, where it's like, she opens her mouth in the Japanese version, and it doesn't sound like it should be coming out of her mouth. It just feels just really weird. It's just not a good, like, tone for her. But that's just throwing my 2 cents out there. That's a lot more of an opinion than something I will, argue tooth and nail over.
That's true. Well, we can all agree that episode 2 Shion was probably the weakest of the Shions. Or voice acting wise.
Episode 2 voice acting was I
think that was another reason why I was disappointed in episode 2 was because of that.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it had like this almost campy feel to it, and I was just like, oh.
I remember Momo's voice made me cringe.
Yeah, though she did get a little bit better in episode 3, but it still was like...
Episode 3 was fine.
Yeah.
But 2 was just ugh.
You want to know whose performance was really good, though, across the board? Dmitry Yuriev.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Really good.
He was...
really good.
He was really good.
Keith Sarabayka.
Yeah,
Keith Sarabayka was his actor. Really spectacular performance, and I'm always shocked every time I go back to him. I'm like, whoa! Now that's what I call 2006 voice acting. It's like really good, like especially for that era, because back in like early mid 2000s, dubs were like so hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a hit right there. Like, gosh, he did an amazing job. I will never get over it. This is totally off topic. But I'll just never get over where he's like, remember your great father, and shoots the control panel and like backs out of the room while God Siv's playing, and I'm just like, this is the most. I need a drink. You know, it was an invigorating experience. Totally off topic now.
No, that's fine. Is there anything else we'd like to discuss about Shion at this time?
I could go on forever, and you probably don't want a 70-hour podcast about me just blabbing about it. So, in terms of the basics, I think we're pretty good.
Yeah. Well, David, Justin, do you think we're good?
Yeah.
I think.
All right. Do we have any
Yeah.
like any closing comments?
Thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just want to say that I always hope that anything I say about Shion can at least, like, change somebody's mind about her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I really want people to see her the way I see her, or at the very least just understand how important she is to me, and how important she is, I'm sure she is to countless others as well, because she's such a well-written, amazing character, and has helped me through so much. And, like, I just want people just to love and appreciate her more, and also examine their own behavior and see, like, that, you know, there probably is some, like, nasty misogynistic roots to hating Shion. There's, like, a good chance of that, you know? Like, examine their own behavior. Just be open and willing to, like, learning and thinking differently.
Yeah, I think with Shion, it's not good to, like, compare her to, like, other protagonists, or base her on some scale that, they have to start off this way, go through something, and like you can't always have the same.
She's a well-written character.
Yeah, you can't always have like the same generic arc for a character. She goes through her own thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
I just gabbed, just so everybody knows.
It's okay. So let's. I think we can just end things right here. I think this is a good stopping point. So thank you very much, everyone, for showing up.
Thank you.
I was definitely eager to talk about Shion, so I'm glad we were able to.
I am always want to talk about Shion. Thank you for having me.
This has been fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem.
I'm sorry that you're going to have to go through and censor every single horrid thing that comes out of my mouth.
It's okay. I'll if it proves too much, I might just let it go, and I'll just put it like a warning.
Warning.
Yeah, lots of warnings, spoiler warnings, cursing warnings. The works. That's fine.
A warning for Kristi existing.
No. Okay, so first, let's kind of go around, and if there's anything you'd like to plug, like a social media or a project you're working on, let's kind of do that. So Justin, you first. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, sure. Even though by the time this uploads, it would have already passed. I will be at. I know, right? I will be at this weekend. This coming weekend, I will be at Comic-Con.
Oh, nice.
New York Comic-Con.
Oh, lucky.
And actually, the anime portion of it, because now they're doing the Anime Fest at New York Comic-Con. So there's like 2 conventions happening at the same time.
That sounds like chaos.
So I'll be there. this weekend, and I'll be hosting a panel on short and sweet RPGs worth your time.
Nice.
And that's a lovely little panel where I talk about cool RPGs that won't consume your pathetic little souls. So if you think that's interesting, come check it out. I'm going to have a giveaway as well. And yeah, it's just a grand old time. I did it at AVGC, and I don't think I have the footage for it, but I don't think I've uploaded it yet. A couple things kind of went wrong with that, but it came out okay. But I don't know if it'll come up yet. I still have to mess with the footage, so no promises that that'll be up. But if you're in New York, New Jersey, definitely check out New York Comic Con. I'll be there. Say hi to me if you happen to recognize me. You probably won't. But yeah, that's what's going on with me. Follow me on Twitter at JustGiyu.
Cool.
And yeah, you can say hi to me. I don't bite hard.
All right, Kristi.
Well, I guess I'll plug Third Tower Productions. You can find us on Facebook. That's me and my fiance's panel group that we do for cons. We do panels based on academic queer theory, gender theory, and disability theory, and applying those to video games. We're about to start a podcast called The Ebony Ditch, which will also be linked to on that page. That's basically going to be the sort of stuff that we talk about at our panels, but like put into podcast form, so we can go on for longer about specific topics and whatnot. We're really passionate about this stuff, so I would definitely love for people to check that out.
Yeah, I mean,
we're trying to use that more, but it's coming together slowly, bit by bit. And I'll also oh no, shit, I'm not doing panels there. Never mind. You can also check out my art Twitter at Athena Oracle. Yeah, come hit me up if you love Shion. Let's talk about Shion.
And I can attest, because I went to one of your panels several years ago, the Xenosaga panel.
Oh yeah,
a while ago. It was really good. I really enjoyed that.
I've improved a lot as a panelist since then, but I'm glad you still enjoyed that. And we do a lot more specific panels now. But I talk about Xenosaga at a lot of our panels, and honestly, I would love to bring it back and kind of rework it into our queer theory sort of framework, because there's so much to talk about there. But I don't know if that's too niche for regular regular convention goers.
I'd go. I know I'd go.
Oh, thank you.
You just spent 2 hours talking about Xenosaga. If that's not niche, I don't know what.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Honestly, I would like to see more of that at conventions. Because I have some of the writers for the site that I write for. I do speak to them about it because we have a couple of writers that are transgender, and that's one of the things we talk about. Yeah, it'd be really nice if we could have more panels that specifically talk about writing transgender characters in fiction. There's not a whole lot about it, and when you do have panels that tackle these, it's more along the lines of people just kind of using it as a way to just self-promote. Be oh, look at me. I care about them when I really don't. But instead of actually analyzing works that deal with those things.
We're going into I studied gender and sexuality, and so did my my fiance, and that's also something that we study in our free times, not just under the great university umbrella. And we're trying to bring that to people and that's why we're calling our podcast The Ebony Ditch. It's the opposite of the Ivory Tower. We're trying to bring that stuff down from high academia bullshit and make it accessible and interesting. And it's all stuff that means a lot to us. I mean, we're both queer women, autistic. I'm autistic. It's all stuff that's really important to us, and we really want to talk about it. And but video games are also really important to us, so we just put the two together. And honestly, Xenosaga is just an overflowing, bountiful field for this stuff. So I might do this. We'll definitely have a podcast episode on it though.
Okay.
So
nice.
Look forward to that.
All right. And David.
Yeah.
I don't really have any social media or anything like that. I just have a Twitter account, Trombone-san. I'm Trombone-san on everything. I have a Kitsu, but that's it.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty boring, relatively. I just want to read.
You're fine. You're fine.
You're valid. Don't worry about it.
And and Me, I have I have Twitter as well, at Cosmos Chaos. I sometimes work on Xenosaga Freaks English translation on the side, but not really. But yeah, it's kind of sad because the episode we're kind of stuck on is the Shion episode.
You're killing me. You're killing
I know. I'm so sorry. Part of
You're
me.
killing me and every other Shion.
Oh my god! I'm so. That should hopefully.
We're dead.
Oh no. That should.
Don't worry about it. Take your time. I'll be happy whenever it comes out.
God,
be patient.
I need to get on it. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much me, and I write for a website that hopefully hasn't fired me after this episode. But yeah, my opinion does not represent them as a whole, so blah 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 blah.
Disclaimer.
disclaimer.
All right. Yeah, next episode, I don't know when it's gonna happen. Our schedule is kind of whenever we kind of feel like it and have the time for it. So the next episode definitely is going to be for Xenogears, since this year is the 20th anniversary. We'll be talking about that, and I'm hoping Catamus will be on that episode.
Good, yeah. I think they would love to talk about that.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks again for everyone joining me, and have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
You too.
Had a good
All
time
right.
too, man.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for joining.